If you're somebody who needs to improve on your listening, or you think that like your relationships are like weakened, or your people are telling you that you're a bad listener, then listen up because Hi everybody, and welcome back to Habits and Hustle Solo Edition, where we just talk about a topic for a very brief amount of time that we think is interesting, that hopefully you do too. And we're going to be exploring a really interesting one today, which is listening, the art of listening, actually, and why it's so important to become a good listener, the benefits, the advantages, and what happens when you are not a good listener. So I think this is actually a really great topic. Because it's important that to build relationships, connections, opportunities, you have to learn this skill. And if you're not naturally somebody who's good at it, stick around because we're going to talk all about it. And of course, guys, I know that I've been remiss sometimes to talk about this, but if you guys can please leave me a review, subscribe to the podcast, it would be so helpful. So don't forget to press subscribe or push subscribe or whatever you do on whatever channel you're listening to this. So let's get into the topic. And of course, I'm with my foil, Shawnee. Hi, Shawnee.
Hello.
What do you think of listening? Do you think you're a good listener?
I think I'm a pretty good listener.
You think so?
When I try, like there are times when I'm multitasking and I know I'm not actively listening to someone. So I'll actually let them know. Like if I'm not focusing and I know someone's trying to tell me something important, I'll say I can't pay attention right now.
So listen, you said something that I think is the important word is actively listening, because I feel people could be half-assing listening and they're not really listening, which is actually worse than just being like, listen, I can't listen right now. Let's do that. I can't talk or listen right now. Let's do this another time.
Absolutely.
Because I think that I don't know about you, but I can guess when I'm talking to somebody and I can tell that they're not paying attention to what I'm saying, it is the most frustrating, annoying thing in the world, and like ruins the relationship. It ruins the connection. It ruins everything. And so I really wanted to do this episode because if, like I said, when I first started this, if you're somebody who needs to improve on your listening, or you think that like your relationships are like weakened, or your people are telling you that you're a bad listener, then listen up because it's so important. It's how you also learn about opportunities. It's like great for problem solving. It's great for just strengthening relationships that you have and building real bonds and connection. And there are some very easy ways that you can become a better listener. And I'm going to go through them today with you guys.
Woohoo.
I know. So when you listen, number one, I think it's super important to make eye contact. If someone's not looking at you, they cannot be really, even visually you feel that they're not listening. So like make eye contact.
Or like if someone's wearing sunglasses, you ever try to have a nice real conversation with someone with like super blacked out sunglasses?
Yes.
It's kind of hard.
It is hard to do that. But if you're at least they're looking in your direction. Number one, I should say some of the things are obvious, like no-goes, which is like, if you're on your phone, don't be on your phone when someone's trying to talk to you, or if you want to become a better listener, or you try to improve on your listening, like place your devices away. Like don't have anything to distract you from being a bad listener. So put those devices away, put your phones away, make eye contact. Very, very important. Another one is like ask questions, like be present, like pay attention to what the person's saying, so then you can ask a question that's relevant to what they're saying, so they can feel heard and feel that you're actually listening. It is so annoying when you're talking to somebody and they're on their phones, or when like you can feel that they're waiting for you to be quiet even so they can jump in. So like another point is don't interrupt people. Let them finish their train of thought. Let them finish what they're saying. By the way, are you listening to me right now? Because you're on your computer.
I am also recording this episode, so yeah.
I'm just joking, by the way. That was a joke.
It's funny you said that, though, because as you were talking, I was like, I'm literally on 4 devices.
I know, but I'm not really talking to you right now. I'm really talking to whoever actually is listening. But, I mean, avoiding the interrupting that was actually kind of funny. Super important, wait for the person who's speaking to finish what they're saying.
That one is huge.
Thank you. Thank you for interjecting with that because you weren't listening. What do you think of like nonverbal cues? I think nonverbal cues, like nodding your head, super important. Looking that you're engaged, another one that looks important. Like that's important. Like I do a podcast, so like for me, I pride myself, I think, on being somewhat of a good listener naturally a little bit because I'm naturally curious. Mm-hmm. This is for people who are maybe not as naturally interested in listening, but it's actually derailing them from building really strong bonds, relationships, and everything they do, right? Because I think that it's such a fundamental skill. I know I talk about being bold as a very fundamental skill. I think that in order to be like a human that does well in the world, you have to know how to interact with other people, and everybody wants to feel heard and listened to. So that is why I think that another huge skill, a foundational, fundamental skill to learn, is to be a good listener. It's fundamental to someone's personal growth, relationship growth, business growth. It's just important, and you have to be able to like learn these little things that anyone can really learn. Like I said to you, like, you know, just letting the person speak and not interrupting, putting your device away. These are easy things that people can do to get better. And yeah, just being present.
Yeah.
It can really improve tenfold by just doing these little things.
I think it's also important to establish what sort of situation you're in. For example, like if I need someone to listen to me, I will advocate for that. If I'm actually saying something that's important and I need advice from a friend or I need them to actually hear the full story, it's a very different dynamic than if I'm just sitting and like we're chit-chatting and whatever. If I really need their focus, I will let them know. I really need your focus right now. Because you can't just expect everybody who has a million things going on in their own lives to be able to just drop everything and focus 100%. Listen, so it's like you have to establish that listening dynamic and then really practice sitting there. And if a friend asks you, like, or your girlfriend or whatever asks you, hey, I really need you to listen to me right now, then you really need to freaking listen. You need to.
This is what I said from the get-go. I'm like, if someone doesn't have the time or the patience or whatever they're going through in your life, just like be honest and say, listen, I can't like dedicate time to listen to you right now. I think that goes way further, and I appreciate that way more than me just droning on and on about something while the person's just not paying attention.
But as in, it goes both ways. Like you can let them know if you don't have the capacity to listen, but also if you need someone to listen to you, you can also advocate and ask for that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
oh, you're saying, yeah,
I'm saying the other way around.
But what I'm saying, I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is there are people who are just naturally just not great listening. They're like, they get distracted easily.